Jeremy Knight, your favorite Austin realtor slash YouTuber. Thank you for joining my second channel. Today, we are going to have on Raad Alawan out of New Braunfels. We are going to talk about what he's done with his channel, starting off from 0 subs, now just over 1,000 subs. We're going to talk about his business, what's happened since going from 0 to 1,000, how that's changed his business. And on top of that, we are going to go through some of the tips, some of the tricks, mistakes that he's gone through, and we're going to give you some of that good info. So today we are going to have on Raad Alawan. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Jeremy Knight, how are you, sir? Hey, welcome. A happy Sunday. I don't know if you ever rest, though, so
No.
Hopefully this will be somewhat real.
Yeah. No resting for the weary. So tell me about this. So what's the market you're in, and tell me about your production prior to going all in on YouTube.
All right, so I am in New Braunfels, Texas, which is perfectly located between Austin and San Antonio. We're approaching 100,000 people really fast. We were at 46,000 about 10 years ago, so we've more than doubled in the last 10 years. My production was non-existent last year for a lot of reasons. COVID was probably one of them, making sure my wife was taken care of. So it was my wife was paying all the bills, and that's not something I like to talk about or I'm proud of. But it was nothing before YouTube, nothing last year.
So last year, not a whole lot of business. You just hit 1,000 subscribers. It looks like you've been putting out pretty much a video a week. In fact, we'll bring up your channel here. Some of the greatest thumbnails I've ever seen, besides my channel. Now that you've hit 1,000 subs on your channel in a smaller market, what has that done for your overall business?
All right. So before I get to that, I want to mention something. We can't do this alone, right? My success comes from yours. Okay. So right off the bat, I thank you as much as I can, and I hope I'm never short with those thanks. But you have helped tremendously because last year, at the height of the pandemic, Jeremy Knight, your number one Austin realtor, was pumping out videos while everybody else was in lockdown, including me, feeling sorry for themselves. Jeremy, and I said to myself, this guy's just tearing it up. And so if he can do it, then I can do it. So you were my motivation to get started. So I just want to set that straight. The channel, the group page, Christina Smallhorn has been a tremendous help in reaching out to me in the very beginning stage. Malcolm Lawson, Ken Posick, he's one of the people I model aside from yourself when it comes to content and, consistency. That's important. Palm Beach Paul, Bill Olson, Ellen Pitts is another one, and Jeremy Blayton, I believe, if I'm pronouncing those names right. My success is not without other people, and that's something that's very important. So I'm a student of the game, so to speak, and just a process with what we do. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. All right,
no
moving
problem,
along,
man. I mean, I'm excited for your success, and I'm sure everybody after that warm thank you, which I appreciate. I think everybody's ready to hear what are the numbers and what it looks like from going 0, listening to a lot of people, following a lot of other people's advice. What are the numbers? Let's hear it.
Okay, so year to date, by the end of 2021, I'm on track to close 7.7 million in volume, and I've never done that in real estate before. So that's where we.
So what is that not life changing from going to 0, pretty much 0, all the way to almost 8 million in production in 1 year just by one thing, right?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, not only that one thing, but being able to, in the early stages, observing you, okay, and your content, and Ken's content, and Christina, Malcolm, and so forth. Once I stopped observing and started implementing every week, just being consistent and knowing what I know, to leaning on what I know about my market, it really started to take off. I was at 95 subs at the end of 2020. The 95 subs produced 2 clients before 2021 began. So that process started, and they both closed in March, and that was uh, close to $1 million in sales right there. So that's just 95 subs.
So what you're saying is that the subs matter, but the content is what is getting people to call you, right? So you think the content, a lot of people think of quantity over content. You're saying that the content you're putting out is what is driving people to call you, regardless of sub count.
I think so. I always ask people what drew them to me. They said, they like my videos. People are going to like your personality, right? And people work with people who are just like them. The other part of it is that, you do this too, Jeremy. You give people like a buffet. It's like going to Vegas and go to the buffet table. You get a little bit of food of every different, ethnicity, right? So that's what we're doing. We're giving them small bites. We're not focusing in on like Buc-ee's, a 20-minute video on Buc-ee's, for example. We're talking about lifestyle things, and this is what they have to sample from. And if they like that enough, then we're going to, when they come here, we're going to get more specific into I think the key is, from what I've found from the reaction from the audience, is that they like the old versus the niche.
Okay. So I'm scrolling your channel up here. Is there one video that is what drove people to your channel? What is it for your channel? Was it the one video? Was it one specific video? Or was it the book of proof of concept?
I would have to say overall, but the one that's getting the most views is the one that's called Why Everyone is Moving to New Braunfels. So that gets quite a views. I mean, that's my number one every day. Well, at least after the new one's played its course, it's the most consistent one. And then the videos about the market, the housing market's on fire, or we have no homes here. Things that they would normally find on Google, Jeremy, or Realtor.com, like the niche stuff, those are the ones that perform well. The lifestyle videos, the New Braunfels trip guide, the pros and cons of living here, 6 reasons not to live here. That's a high playing one too, because the one thing about YouTube, and I think you can speak to this as well, is that it allows you to be open and honest, right? And so the more open and honest you are, as opposed to like a Chamber of Commerce channel, the more people are going to trust you. And the more people that trust you, the more they're going to want to do business with you, if that makes sense.
Right. And so that actually brings me a really good point. So we're talking about a lot of different content on your channel, and I was just scrolling through your channel to look at what you've been doing. From my perspectives, a lot of agents don't know what they're supposed to be doing, right? They don't know what content they're putting out. What information or what guidance would you give anybody that's just starting out? They want to start a YouTube channel, they want to grow it. What would be the number one thing you would say to them as far as content wise and how they should be thinking about their content?
I think you should be doing, that's a good question. I think you should be doing relevant content. We keep talking about the word content. Let's talk about relevant content. That's going to be important. So if your focus is people who are moving from other areas into your area, or from other parts of the state to your area, then you want to give them a glimpse of what makes this place so special or what doesn't. So you want to do that, the pros and cons of living in fill in the blank. You definitely want to do that video. You want to do maybe reasons you don't want to move here. Okay. So that's giving people the lay of the land. I think when you first get started, those are the easy ones to get started with, because those, I think from experience and from watching you and others, those are the ones that get the most traction, because again, you're giving them the lay of the land. It kind of keeps you going. And then you start picking up things about your own market, right? About, okay, well, the city just passed this, it's going to raise taxes X. Well, that's another video. Or builders are slowing down, they're not building as fast because of X, Y, and Z. That's another video. So I think when people get started, just the general stuff that works, right? What do we say, Jeremy? If other people are succeeding, you can succeed too, right? If something's working, don't fix it. If there's a video that's working for everybody, then crying out loud, just use it, just use that same concept idea and then fill in your own personal information.
What about engagement? One thing that we see is that you want to keep people engaged, right? So what are some tips you would give people for keeping people engaged on your channel, right? Because you know, a lot of people want people to watch their videos, but what do you need? What do they need to do to keep people engaged?
I think number one, have a quick hook in the very beginning. For example, start off with, hey, you don't want to move here. And, coming up next, we're going to talk about why, thanks for joining my channel. If you're new to my channel, da da da. But also in the very beginning, get their response. That's what I like to do. I say, today we're going to talk about the 6 most haunted places in New Braunfels, but I want to hear from you guys. Drop your most haunted places in the comment section below, and then boom. So right off the bat, right off the bat, they know they're engaged. So, but the hook is important. Okay, hey, there are no more homes left in New Braunfels. Today we're going to talk about that and how you might be able to overcome that, and then get into a short thing. This is my channel. Thanks for joining us, and then jump right into it. So a hook, really fast, not a long intro, and get right to it.
What do you think? So that actually brings me to a really good question. I have a pet peeve that realtors do on their YouTube channel, and that is people ask for business on their YouTube channel. I think, you have all these big time YouTubers that are out there saying, I sell homes in the X area, so make sure you subscribe. And if you're going to buy or sell a home, call me. I think, and there's big time people out there that tell you, you have to have a hook, you have to have a call to action. And I full-heartedly disagree with that. What you said earlier about just giving people information. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that new YouTubers or YouTubers in our area, real estate, are making on a daily basis and hurting their channel?
I think don't sell yourself. In my almost 60 videos that'll be next week, I haven't said my name once. Okay.
Interesting.
But will still respond. That stuff is in the description, but I never tell people, hey, on this. I learned that from my former life in television, that people already know you. Like, they know your first and last name. You don't have to repeat it to them. And remember, you are not the most important thing when they're watching. So if you all of a sudden you come off, hey, I'm Raad Alawan, I work for Black Label Real Estate Advisors, then that becomes the most important content in the beginning. It can't be, right? So leave that stuff out. And at the end, if you want to do, hey, listen, if you're thinking about moving to New Braunfels, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can email me, call me, or shoot me a text. That's at the end. Now, having said that, you do yours at the beginning, but it works really well because you're fast out of the gate. Spending the next 2 minutes talking about how many deals you did and how many this you did, your stuff moves. I mean, if whoever's watching this, about pacing, that is the best recommendation. Watch your stuff, because you don't dilly-dally. You just say it, you move on. And that's what, Jeremy, our attention spans are like that of gnats, they say, right? Very small. So
right.
You can't go on about yourself. People don't care. They're just coming for why they came to your channel for. They want to know more about Austin and the attached cities around it. They want to know what the taxes are like. They want to know safety. They want to know schools and so forth and so on. They want to know builders. So they're coming to you for that, not the first 2 minutes being about you. And what you do really well is that you, right off the bat, and then boom, you're gone. The rest of the video.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's my hook is I say whatever the hook is, and I say, Jeremy Knight, your favorite Austin realtor, and then I'm in, and that's all you hear of it. What do you think? So what are some of the other mistakes besides selling themselves too much? Are agents too much in their head? What are some other things do you think agents or their biggest mistakes are? And if there's not, we can move on. So not a big deal.
Okay, so I can speak from experience, because I used to think I needed every tool imaginable to start YouTube. I needed a huge camera, expensive camera. I needed lights. I needed a person to help me shoot. No, I've done all of this I'm telling you about on my phone, which I'm on right now, okay? My iPhone or whatever phone you have, and a $38 tripod I've had for 5 years from Best Buy.
Nice.
Nobody shoots it. People want to know when we speak to clients for the first time, hey, we're just wondering, do you shoot your own stuff or does somebody else? Because it looks like somebody else is doing it. But it's just a $38 tripod and a phone and wireless mic, and that's it. So get out of your head. You don't need what you think you need. Just start doing it, and don't make it about you. Make it about, hey, if you're moving to your area, what information would you want to know about? So the less you make it about you and the more you make it about the consumer or the viewer, the more, I think, the more traction, the more engaging it's going to be, and the more successful you'll eventually be.
So that's actually a good point about the equipment. A lot of people when they're starting, doing video, one thing they don't know how to do is to edit, right? How do I edit? Do I hire somebody?
Right.
They go through all of that. What would you suggest to somebody as far as like, getting an editor to edit or starting out editing yourself? It sounds like you said from the beginning, start out cheap and just roll. The content's most important. So what do you think if somebody's trying to figure out how to edit or to, pay an editor? What's your recommendation there?
Well, here's the thing. I edit all my stuff, and because I know where things are going, and I'm able to control the creative part of it. So I would recommend that if you don't know how to edit, take some spare time. Maybe find somebody else in the meantime, right? But find some spare time and then get familiar with with an editing software. Because if you think of it, Jeremy, it is what you do. Every step in this process. So get attached to a software. I use Pro. I don't know if you use, but get familiar with. But if you can farm it out too. But the only con I would say in farming it out is somebody's not going to understand your message. So therefore, they might get the skeleton right, like your narration parts, but they may not know what falls into place over that particular narration part. I would say if you don't know how to do something, and guys, seriously, I'm a I'm a process person. I'm a slow sometimes, and Premiere Pro wasn't the easiest thing to learn, but it came with some pains. But now it's like okay, so get familiar with it. It's all about taking control. But at the same time, if you're at that stage in your business where you can have somebody shoot 8 videos a month, pay them, $2,000 or $3,000 to do that, more power to you.
You're just talking about, have somebody shooting for you in 8 videos a month. What's your recommendation as far as how much content and when people should be putting it out?
All right, so you know what? I am not knee deep in this process as much as you are. I mean, you can still school me on this stuff. I keep it to 1 video a week, consistent since October 14th last year, 2020. So I've had a video every week, and if I'm going out of town, Jeremy, I shoot 2. So I don't say, well,
Yep.
I'm going out of town, or I'm going on vacation, or something happened to my family. I always shoot ahead because I have to stay consistent. Because the time you don't, whoever's watching is going to watch somebody else's channel. So I do 1 a week, but I know I need to step up my game too, as far as consistency, as far as more content, and because there's so much happening. What we do, Jeremy, like what you do is fantastic, man. You're covering every angle of Austin. Like your own broadcast network is Jeremy Knight. You cover everything. If there's something that happens at city council that impacts the housing market, or Elon Musk is coming to town as headquarters, you are the guy. You scoop every freaking news channel and media outlet in town because you're on it right then. You don't wait till 11 o'clock. You don't wait till 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. or 5 o'clock. You give it to them then. And I think that's so important. I really do. So I think I need to step up my game, and because things, we live in a 24/7, news cycle. So, which is why you are so appealing to so many people, because they don't have to wait to get the information. They get it right away.
So all the compliments you're giving me, don't worry, the check is in the mail. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, no.
So my last question for you is, I think some people out there think, okay, I can't, I'm in a small market, YouTube isn't going to work for me in a small market. For someone like yourself is a small market and now virtually the ambassador, right, of New Braunfels, people run into you and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Rod," right, all the time.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah,
You get that.
well, you probably get it more than I do because you are in a smaller community. People are probably seeing your videos. So, what would be your last bit of advice for anybody in a small market that's trying to grow their channel, that thinks that they just can't do it because they're in a small market, they're not going to get business?
I think if you're in a small market, you have an advantage because there's less agent saturation, especially on YouTube. And then even furthermore, there are fewer There may be agents doing YouTube in your area, but they may just be doing house tours, or they may just be doing, videos about a particular event or a particular store or something specific. So I think it's a great opportunity. And we're a town of 100,000 guys. I mean, that's it. We're growing fast, but we're not Austin. We're not San Antonio. We're just above Mayberry. No, it's bigger than that. But so I would say, because the town is small, there's so many people already, and lean into those people to leverage your growth in your business. I think that if you know the area really well, you got to say to yourself, okay, hold on. It doesn't matter, like, I've never done this before, but I know that I know my area, and I want to share that with people. And then by sharing that with people, then I'm able to see the fruits of this labor. And I think that's anybody who's in any market, it doesn't matter. And I'll tell you, number one, Jeremy, last point. It doesn't matter if there's 60 million people, 60 million agents doing YouTube, or 6 agents doing YouTube in your market. People watching and calling you are going to want to work with you because they like you. Tip number 1, be yourself. Do not be somebody else, because if you're somebody else, then the person you attract who's going to call you, going to come visit you, they're going to find out the real person, and that's not the way you want to start off a relationship. The one thing that YouTube has taught me more than anything else is to be yourself, because you're going to attract like people. And by attracting like people, you're going to have real fun at this. You're going to want to work with that person, and vice versa. Obviously, it's possible. I went from 0 in 2020, like 0 business, to 7.7 by year's end, 2021.
That's awesome. Well, Rod, I really appreciate the time. I really appreciate you coming on here and all the kind words. If anybody wants to reach out to you, where do they find you?
Just go to my YouTube channel, Raad Alawan, my first and last name. That's it.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Rod. We appreciate it. Make sure, if you're finding value in these videos, make sure you subscribe, drop a comment below. All the comments you write below, Rod will respond to, or I will respond to. So write as many as you want and make them fun and entertaining. We'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.